chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Estamos aquí, oye, que estamos aquí. Mírame, estamos aquí. Desde hace rato, cuando ustedes llegaron, ya estaban las huellas de nuestros zapatos. Se robaron hasta la comida de gato y todavía se están lamiendo el plato. Bien encabronados con estos ingratos. Hoy le doy duro a los tambores hasta que me acusen de maltrato. Si no entiendes el dato, pues te lo tiro en cumbia, bossa nova, tango o vallenato. A los Calaboy y bambú, bien frontú, con sangre caliente como Timbuktu. Estamos dentro del menú. Tupac se llama Tupac por Tupac Amaru del Perú. América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde Tierra del Fuego hasta Canadá. Hay que ser bien bruto, bien hueco. Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos. Estos canallas se les olvidó que el calendario que usan se lo inventaron los mayas con la Valdivia precolombina. Desde hace tiempo, este continente camina, pero ni con toda la marina pueden sacar de la vitrina la peste campesina. Esto va para el capataz de la empresa. El machete no es solo para cortar caña, también es para cortar cabeza.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Los paramilitares, las guerrillas, los hijos del conflicto, las pandillas, las listas negras, los falsos positivos, los periodistas asesinados, los desaparecidos, los narcogobiernos, todos los que robaron, los que se manifiestan y los que se olvidaron, las persecuciones, los golpes de estado, el país en quiebra, los exiliados, el peso devaluado, el tráfico de droga, los carteles, las invasiones, los emigrantes sin papeles, 5 presidentes en 11 días, disparo a quemarropa por parte de la policía, más de 100 años de tortura, la nova trova cantando en plena dictadura. Somos la sangre que sopla la presión atmosférica. Gambino, mi hermano, esto sí es América.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Si quieres mi machete muerte.
Viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
What's up? What up, fam? What up? Let me go through. Hold on, let me set this up real quick. Check it out. I got something important to show y'all. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a live today. I was kind of going through some notes on a class that I want to do. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now. But you know, a brother brought this to my attention. And I'll say this right now. This is the only channel, okay? And the brothers here can attest to this. By the way, all be real. What up, bro? Yeah, let's get that, bro. And it's not for the likes, like, oh, make me feel good. It's because the algorithm. The more people like the videos, the more they're presented these videos. What up, Valley Boy? Next. What up, Joe? What up, Kuya? What's happening? All right, so this is the only channel that has ever, to this very day, showed y'all who brought smallpox to our continent and how it was used against us, unlike what we were told before, okay? It's the only channel. No one's ever talked about this. No one. So when I hear somebody all of a sudden say, now that they did not have smallpox, that it was a made-up story, okay? And see, here's the problem with you people. You guys are in North Little fucking America. And you just base it off of pictures and assumptions. You don't bring no material, no books that proves that they, you know, the Anglos, brought smallpox. We know that they brought other diseases. But I was very specific because this smallpox decimated our people. And our gente needs to know who exactly brought that fucking shit to us. And it wasn't by chance. And it wasn't because you were enslaved. No, you did it on purpose. So now, once again, fam, it's the only channel that has ever showed y'all who really brought smallpox to us. Well, what do you know? All of a sudden now, the same BHI groups, because obviously it's decimating their doctrine, are now saying that, nope, that's not true. That I guess I'm lying. As you can see, though, they don't call my ass out. They don't say you're wrong, we're going to correct you. No. On the contrary, they're indirectly going against what I've been sharing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind you as part 2 and give you more detail. You know what I'm saying? Give you more detail and be more specific. Now, I did a video on smallpox about a year ago, okay? So I'm going to show you portions of that video because I brought out a lot of information. I have more information as well. But it's time that we start like looking at it now. Like, look at this, fam. You see how they're moving the court? Now they don't even want, first of all, they don't talk about Negro conquistadors. They don't talk about having black padres teaching us religion, Christianity. This is like in early, like 1500. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden now they got nothing to do with smallpox. Look, I brought out material in English, brought out material in Spanish, brought out, matter of fact, where French pox came from, where smallpox came from, right? And these are historical books. This isn't books from like 1970. I brought out material from 1700. And now they want to go against it. So I'm going to show you some videos. And I want to once again remind you, BHIs, that you are too scared to debunk my shit. You are too scared to debate those topics. I will decimate you through all Deuteronomy 28. And that's just like the icing on the cake for our people. So let me remind you and put you back in your fucking place. Because no, you guys, West African people brought smallpox to the Americas. That is a fucking fact. And I don't care what you say. You want to know why? Because there's no material that you can say contrary to this. So let's begin.
But many African Americans, you are the Native Americans. You're not even African Americans, you're Native Americans. You're the ones that they brought blankets with, was it smallpox or whatever diseases, and wiped out entire communities because they said they came in peace, but they actually came in war. And they are still warring us right until this day. So there are those beloveds of you who really don't feel any connection to Mama Africa. And this is just, a confirmation, a reassurance that America belongs to you.
All right. So as we know, it's like, yo, listen, just because you ain't the attention anymore, all these curses, they ain't happening to you. They're not coming after you guys. So now you want to create some type of division. No. It's too late now. The train's gone very strong. We bring facts. We don't bring fiction. You guys are being like cool Mayo and shit. You're just, oh, no, that's not true. But look at these pictures. Okay, show me that that white man brought smallpox. Not French pox, because we know they did. Because French pox, you guys experienced in Africa. And I brought that material up. So let's go and do it again.
Of Americans linen blankets disguised as a gift. But really, those blankets were a weapon of mass genocide. Those blankets were infected with smallpox. Almost 50% of the Native American population died between the 15th and 18th century. This was intentional biological and disease warfare against the Native Americans. We're talking millions. And then they turned around and blamed the disease on black slaves in an attempt to keep natives away from black slaves.
There ain't nobody on YouTube or TikTok or anyone that has been sharing this to you except my channel. Except this channel. But you see how they never directly call this channel out? Because there's too much information. And I appreciate all you subscribers that are here, that 778, because it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Brothers that actually, and sisters that understand community, unity, patience with each other. Brothers and sisters that can maintain relationships, not at one moment, but hurt and disappear, and then want to show up again. No. That's not the way we are. Let's continue.
Trying to deceptively persuade Native Americans to stay away from black people, their brother. because they knew if we got together, it would be a problem for them. I know what you're gonna say. It was in the past. Let bygones be bygones. Well, my people suffer today as a result of what you did, and you benefit from what your grandparents did in the past. What they did in the past was for your future. I will never forget what you did.
This is a white man with woolly hair, practically. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you. All right, so I guess so. We're gonna go with it now. So this is why I'm saying smallpox round 2, because apparently they need to be reminded once more of the idiocy, the ignorance, or whatever that fucking thing is. I don't understand anymore, bro. I think I brought up enough material to show y'all that, hey, listen, there was such a thing, and you guys brought it. But no, now all of a sudden, no, that's not true. That's just a lie that the white man wants to improve onto you, because they don't want us to be together. Oh, really? Let me remind you people, of what the fuck you teach my brothers and sisters in your goddamn stupid ass fucking camps, okay? Let me remind you real quick. Revelation 1:14, family, I'm gonna give you examples as to why this is such a tainted stupidity, no different than wobbleism, okay? I'm gonna show you where wobbleism is in these camps. They're very like ignorant to go to this Revelation 1:14 and 15, but they don't technically read further 16 and 17, because then it kind of contradicts everything that's going on here in verse 14 and 15. But there's a point. Revelation 1:14 says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, right? And his feet like unto fine brass. Brass is not copper, by the way. Brass is actually like a very yellowish, metal. But that's beside the point. And unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sounds of many waters. You see, Jesus is black. All right. So this is what they do. This is where they go. This is where they take you. Okay. So now, this is what they're teaching to you, family. They don't want unity. They don't want unity, because here's what they say. Then they go to 1 Corinthians 15 and 50. Then they say this to you. You unlearned, you simpletons, right? You burros and shit. Now this, 1 Corinthians 15:50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, neither do corruption inherit incorruption. Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. I'm sorry. Okay? So what do you think they mean by that? Here's what they mean by that. Corruption is how you look like. So what they say is, you look Hispanic because you mix with the white man. You see, when the white man came over, you mixed with them. That's why you look like them. Doesn't that sound like wobbleism? like they were here originally. But here, hold on, I'm not even done, to check it. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. You're like, what? What do you mean be changed? Watch what this Paul is talking about. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So you're like, wait, hold on a second. What are you trying to tell me? That when the quote-unquote Messiah returns for the 6th time, that I'm going to turn into something else? Like, yeah, okay. What is that? What is that? Okay, I'll show you. Philippians 3:21. Who shall change a vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body? According to the workings whereby he is able to subdue all things unto himself. You see, when the black Messiah returns from West Africa, you're going to look like us. Yeah, really? Yeah, you're going to look like us. So family, at the end of the day, what they're really trying to tell you is that they were here originally. We look like Africans, and we don't look like this anymore because apparently we mix with other nations. Let's go. All right, so let's tackle this. So we got well, he calls me El Estúpido, right? It's all good. Come on, bro, stop. All right, so he goes, David Benjamin. He says, El Estúpido. So he calls me one, right? Obviously, Africans didn't bring it over exclusively. it's a contagion, I'm sorry, meaning it's contagious. Okay. They caught it from their captors, the Spanish, and they didn't bring it over exclusively. I don't know how you Hollywood Indians don't get flagged for hate speech. It's beyond me. Okay, first of all, David Benjamin Button, this isn't hate speech when I read shit. When I bring out material and books and I read, that's why YouTube cannot block me, because I don't say shit that is not real. Now, if it's offensive to you, it's because that's what you guys are about. You see, even in your own stupidity, because you're projecting when you say it's a stupido, because that's the first thing that comes to your mind, is probably because that's how you feel about yourself. It says obviously Africans, which you're saying you're not. So wouldn't this be a moment to say, well, I'm not African? That's why they brought it. But no. You defend them because you know that's you. And so it says that, well, exclusively, it doesn't pertain to them because they were so clean. They had such a civilized world. You know what I'm saying? Like no disease ever happened to Africans. So they caught it. And Spanish people, well, we're going to find out that Spanish people didn't look like me. Actually, Spanish people looked either like David, who's probably white, right? Or the other guy. What's the other guy? The what's his name? The Inhotep. The dude is a white-looking dude with the little bit of African features, and he forgets that shit. And he tells us that we're foreigners, even though he literally don't look like them. So, anyways, let's continue. So he says, us Spaniards, we're supposedly us Spaniards, and that we or they or we gave it to them, and that's why this whole Hollywood shit. So he's upset, like, I can't believe the hate speech. Hate speech, hate. Okay, sounds good, bro. Sounds good. If it's hate speech, then let them block me, because I don't do that. But what I do is promote truth.
All these black
I don't lie, and I don't run from what I share. I don't go around painting pictures, posting and clipping like your Colomiados king, David, because this is who you guys worship. You are a worshiper of Colomiados. He's brought all this stuff to you. Matter of fact, the video I just showed earlier with that dirty water kid, the stupid ass going on and making a fool of himself, you support that channel. And you know what he says? Oh, where's Curimeo at? They support Curimeo or Colomiados or whatever it is that you do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, you talk about somebody saying hate speech. I bring facts. You bring... Anyways, let's just see what you bring.
We exaggerate how many black people ran away to the North Star. Even John Hope Franklin, at most, counted 50,000. And that includes people who would just run down to the swamp, hide out for the night, and then come back. It was hard to run away to the north. There were not millions of black people in the Underground Railroad. We tend to think of the Underground Railroad like Penn Station, a Grand Central Station. It wasn't like that. It was incredibly difficult to escape from slavery. And as you know, Mr. Black, many of the free Negroes stayed in the South. Do you know in the 1860 census, there were 440,000 about free Negroes, I mentioned that earlier. More than half lived in the states that were the Confederacy and the border states where slavery was free.
They were free.
And they stayed there, ladies and gentlemen, unmolested, including my family in eastern West Virginia. They stayed there because that's where they had their family and that's where they had their property. Remember, their property they had to be given property in Virginia and many of these other southern states. What are they going to do? Go to New York? Live in Harlem? Hang out and listen to jazz with Dizzy, Charlie Parker? They stayed where they were raised. And many of them, this is the worst, the dirtiest secret in African American history, is that a surprisingly high percentage of the free Negroes in the South owned slaves themselves.
Tackled this before, that's not the point. Let's go.
And some of them owned, we explain it away by saying, oh, but they only own their mother, or they only own, they own their mother, they own their sister, they own their wife, and they own some other workers too. A surprisingly high number owned workers who they did not liberate throughout the South. There were enough black free Negroes who supported the Confederacy that they voluntarily formed a regiment in the state of North Carolina to fight for the Confederacy. And black Confederate troops are featured on the cover of Harper's Weekly in 1863. Frederick Douglass used this as an argument to make Lincoln allow black men to fight. Wow. Because remember, Lincoln didn't want to do it. Lincoln made a famous statement in 1863. He said, I suppose we could arm them, but if we did, their arms would end up in the hands of the Confederates within a week, because he thought that they were incompetent, not smart enough to win. And eventually, as I said, the North was losing the war. Frederick Douglass was agitating. And this book by Casemore persuaded him to change his mind and incrementally. So again, it's not only the myth makers who created the idealized Lincoln. We have our own myth makers.
This is why I posted and I responded to many people. Bro, since 1492, you guys came with the gringo. Since 1492, okay? And all through 1865, okay? You helped them. You fought for the Confederacy to keep being slavers. As a matter of fact, many times, which I'm going to show in a little bit, it said that the Negro slavers were much more harsh than the white ones. See, but you only brought up smallpox, right? Without proof that you guys didn't do it. Okay, sounds good. Let's continue.
In the African American historical establishment, all the Egyptians looked like Michael Jordan. All our people were black gods and kings. You know, we were not complicitous in the slave trade. There wouldn't be a slave trade. Africans sold other Africans to white people. That was a slave trade. That's the first thing we
attention to what he's about to say, because when he's mentioning that certain people sold certain people, there is also a I could say what's the right word to say it? A logistical system that needed to be implemented in order for these Africans to bring Africans from Africa. You know why? Because in the interior parts of Africa, he's going to explain it, and we're going to prove it. David, I got an answer for you. I hope you're listening. You want sources? I'm going to give you the horse's mouth.
We honestly have to admit that remember the story of Livingston, Dr. Livingston. The reason that was so important is that almost no white men had penetrated the interior of Africa. What was there? No roads, snakes, mosquitoes. The reason that was so important is that almost no white men had penetrated the interior of Africa. What was there? No roads, snakes, mosquitoes, death, malaria, right? The white people were along the coast. It was black kingdoms, like Queen Njinga's kingdom in Angola. What's now Angola? Ghana, Dahomey. They grew rich from the slave trade, selling other Africans. They would go and wage wars just to sell other black people to white people. This is something we've been so ashamed about, we pretend that it's not true. It is the nasty, dirty secret of African American history. We are just as corrupt and despicable as any other people. And if we have the right to oppress, we will oppress just as corrupt and despicable of African American history. We are just as corrupt as American history. We are just as corrupt and American history. We are just as corrupt and despicable as any other people. And if we have the right to oppress, we will oppress just like the white man.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
You would, because I've seen it. Let's continue.
Us. That is human nature. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And the only way to overcome that is to be honest about it. Is to be honest about it, admit the truth, and then all try to do better. As my main man, guy I admire so much, Cornel West, says, we're all recovering racists. We're recovering. We're all recovering racists.
All the white people clap. Oh, you relieved some stress. Okay, so let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. All right, so Robert, or what's your name again? David, whatever your name is, all right? You want sources? Straight out of the horse's mouth, I'm going to give you the sources, all right? So let's begin right here, because you guys love all wobbles. Every single wobble that you know of loves this book right here. Hold on. Let me show you something. Since you want sources, Dave, let me see. What's your name? What's your name again? El Estúpido. I know he called me El Estúpido. So David Benjamin Button wants sources because he doesn't believe that Africans could have brought contaminants to this America over here. It had to be the Spaniards because they're so dirty. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you part of it. I'll give you part of it. You're right. Africans didn't necessarily bring all the diseases. You're right. The Spaniards did give them something called pox, but it wasn't what you think. So I'll give you that one, David, but I'm still proving facts. I'm going to give you from your own man,
who quoted this man that I'm about to quote. He quoted him. This is a book from Ivan Sertima, 1970. He quotes a gentleman in here. And he says here, as regards to, and by the way, you guys love this guy, but at the same time, you ignore the shit that he says. I don't understand. You're saying you're from America, but then you're Africans. Oh, that's right. You were all over the world. Anyways, so here he says, Edward Scobie, which you guys also push as well. So Ivan Sertima references Edward Scobie, who all wobbles love to use. And he, your sources that you guys run to love to, quotes a guy named Leo Africanus, A Geographical History of Africa. And again, I don't want to read this because you guys can read it. For all Negroes are blackamoors or descendants of Kushans. We all know that shit. We all know that. We can always come back to it. But again, Leo Africanus. So Ivan Sertima, okay? Ivan Sertima, this man here, the guy they love, okay, quotes Leo Africanus. Sounds good. Well, then let's go to Leo Africanus. This is from the same book. The same book, okay? The same book. And I have it right here. It's reprinted for me. A Geographical History of Africa. I brought this book out several times, but now, since you want sources, I'm gonna give you sources. Here it says what kind of diseases the Africans are subject to. Now, Leo Africanus is an African, by the way. And he says it himself in this book. So let's talk about what type of diseases Africa was dealing with. All right, so it says here. If any of the, this on page 38, by the way. I think chapter 2, page 38. So it goes by chapters and then it goes into 1, 2, 3, 4. If any of the Barbary be infected by the disease commonly called French pox. David's going to say, you see, I was right. The Spaniards gave us the diseases. You know what I mean? That's what he says, right? That's what he says. Hey, bro, stop. Oh, come on, dude, for real? All right, that's what he says. But, wait a minute, let's continue reading it and then we'll come back to it. It says here that this disease, French pox, they die thereof for the most part and are seldom cured. This disease beginneth with a kind of anguish and swelling, and at length break out into sores over the mountains of Atlas and throughout the Numidia and Libya. So now, two things I want to ask, and we'll move on. Atlas. Why is that word used there? It's still in Africa. Let's continue. It says, so in Nubia and Libya, they scarcely know this disease, in so much that oftentimes the parties infected traveleth footward into Nubia and the lands of the Negroes, or the land of the Negroes, in which places the air is so temperate, blah, blah, blah. Not so much as the name of this malady ever known unto Africans before the Ferdinand, King of Castile. Okay. Hold on. There you go. This is the second page. Castile. So when did these guys start getting this disease called French pox? Spelled all Jews out of Spain. After return of which Jews into Africa, certain unhappy and lewd people lay with their wives, and to the length that disease spread from one to another over the whole region, in so much that scarce any one's family was free from the same. Howbeit they were most certainly persuaded of that the same disease came first from Spain. Wherefore they, for the want of better name, called it the Spanish pox. Notwithstanding, at Tunis, all over Italy, it is called the French disease. It is also called likewise in Egypt and Syria. For there is used a common proverb of cursing. The French pox take you. Among the barbarians, the disease called the Latin hermia is not common. But in Egypt, the people are much troubled therewith. For some of the Egyptians have their cods oftentimes so swollen, it is incredible to report. And this is, by the way, their cods means their penis, which infirmity is thought to be so common among them because they so much eat as gum and salt, whatever. Now, it says here that This telling sickness likewise possesses the women of Barbary and the land of the Negroes who excuse it, lay that they are with a spirit of the Barbary. The plague is rise every 10th, 15th, and 20th year, whereby great numbers of people are consumed, for they have no cure for them, for the same, but only to rub the plague with certain ointments made of Armenian earth. So like dirt and type. In Numidia, nor Nubia, I guess, they are infected with the plague scarce once in 100 years. And in the land of the Negroes, they know not the name of the disease because they never have been subject thereunto. True. So yeah. But you are forgetting something. You are forgetting something. What was French pox? I ask. It was what? It was what? So I don't know who laid with who first, but both of y'all were laying with each other. Some men were sleeping with somebody's women. So we don't know if the Jews or the people there, you know what I mean? The Sephardic Jews, by the way. I mean, mind you, we don't know if the men were sleeping with the African women there, or if they were just, in relationship with their women, and then the African dudes which went in there and said, whoop, let me slip right in there. But it's syphilis, not smallpox. So I give you this source because it's important to differentiate the differences of diseases. So now we know that there was such a thing as French pox, which was taken by the Europeans into Africa. Okay. Ivan Sertima, African Leo Africanus says it. So now let's go to another source, which is now going to identify us exactly who was dealing with smallpox first. I bring you this book here. It's not made up. A Voyage to the River Sierra Leone on the coast of Africa. Remember how the guy was saying that they stay on the coast because, all the diseases and shit inside the center of Africa, they just wouldn't go in there. So it says here, the voyages of the coast of Africa, containing an account of the trade and productions of the country and the civil and religious customs and manners of the people. A series of letters to the friends of England, John Matthews, blah, 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 1791. All right. Now in here, if we look deep into this book, you're going to find yourself something very interesting. It says here that the white traders, a capital white trader, this is on page 135, a capital white trader who had resided nearly 30 years upon the coast, who is otherwise a man of sense, told me very seriously, he once thought, as he supposed I did, but that he had seen so many surprising instances of their art, he could no longer doubt. In the accounts of the most uncivilized countries that we read of, we find the office of physicians is generally annexed to that of priests and conjurers. So again, keep in mind that they don't have doctors and shit, you know what I mean? And again, I want to let you know that in America, we had over 2,600 medicinal recipes made out of herbs. And we still have them in our culture, which is why I don't understand why Wabas don't know this shit. But anyhow, by the way, who cured that black dude? Raza did. And now you don't even want to say that. Anyway, let's continue. But here is carried by an old woman. Oh, by old women, I'm sorry. And the cures they perform are truly astonishing, particularly in the external wounds by the use of simples, which were woods and fields afford in abundance. Check this out. Here we go. The diseases they are most subject to. Okay, we're going to go and cover this in line. The diseases they are more subject to are intermittent fevers and hydrocele. The latter is supposed to be caused by the too frequent use of palm wine and excess of venereal.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Okay, so you're like, well, venereal, what the hell does that mean? Okay. Venereal means sexual indulgence.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Okay, so apparently this is quite often, quite common, and it's still, I don't know, prevalent? I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't the same people. I don't know. You guys say you're not. I don't know. Then it says here, the venereal disease is frequent, but never attended with those dreadful symptoms which too often accompany it in Europe. Okay? So like the French pox type of deal shit. It is always easily cured. Neither can they be convinced that it proceeds from impure coition, I guess. Check this out. Next, talking about the diseases that are most subject to, right? The smallpox is endemial. So, you know, the guy, what's his name? Benjamin Button. He's like, you know, he wants to be Mr. Brainiac, right? Like, it's a contagion, meaning it's contagious, and they cut it from the Cathars and Spaniards. That's not what it says. The smallpox is endemial. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Because obviously, you know, I don't know any better, man. I'm just a, you know, like just a dumb Mongolian. I guess that's what you guys say, right? Endemial means, come on, get to it. Oh, endemic. Meaning what? Belongs to or native to a particular people of a country. Woo! Characteristics of a prevalent in a particular field, area, or environment.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Hold on a second.
That's right.
So endemic basically means that an organism is restricted to a locality or region. So we know that French pox was brought to you by the French, the Spaniards, the Europeans. Yeah, I'll give you that. The Europeans brought French pox to the Africans. But smallpox, it's an endemial disease, but it's not so frequent on the seacoast as the interior country.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Which is why the gentleman earlier said that there was a lot of diseases in the center. So Africans had to logistically figure out, okay, how do we get these people from inside out to these guys? Or the Europeans, not always white, by the way. How are we going to get those people? We're not going to go in there and die of disease. No. So let's continue reading. Because apparently they want some suffice information. I shall conclude with my best wishes for your health and happiness. Oof, that's going to hurt. Now, if you continue reading this book, right, it even brings up the fact that slavery was something that they really, really practiced and enjoyed. So much so that they would even put their children up for debt. Like if you go and pawn some shit at a pawn shop. This is really what's going on in here. So we're seeing that Leo Africanus understood that those certain diseases that we were dealing with, right? The French pox is what the one he talked about. Now, here we see a book that says, well, the smallpox was inland of Africa. Listen, in the proportion as the West Indies were cultivated, the demand of slaves increased, as they were found to answer for what purpose much better than Europeans, and were also procured as much easier experience. The English and French were the first who began to cultivate the Windwall Islands, which had been only visited by the Spaniards. Their skirts discovered. Okay, so it says here that it was between Portugal and African trade. So it wasn't like, you know, what we were told that they went there and out of surprises and took people. No. They were all involved. And the only way that these people were able to bring people from inside of Africa was through their own, because they knew they would die from diseases. Hence, smallpox. Page 141. It may be presumed that the seacoast alone at first furnished the slaves which were sold to the Europeans, but that the constant and increasing demand, which has unremittingly continued for the first time of their being brought to America, soon obliged the natives to have recourse to back countries. And many of them are now brought from a very great distance, from inland. The modes of dealing and procuring slaves is the most places extremely different. But as I cannot pretend to describe them all, I shall confine myself to a description of the method of trade of these parts only. So he's talking about what they're, considering, right? and how they're trading, all right, and what they trade. Okay. I want to point something out, and then we'll move on from this book. I don't want to lose my topic here. Ribion, okay. Information, merchants, witchcraft. I think it's okay. Here goes. Let's see. There are in our purchase in the country where European goods and salt, which is okay. They're talking about that. They will part with their. Okay, here goes. Which is an article. See, I'm right here. Okay, I'm right here. Which is an article so highly valued and so eagerly sought after by the natives that they will part with their wives and children and everything dear to them to obtain it when they have not slaves to dispose of it. Damn, they're willing to sell their children and their kids to get European goods. It is always makes part of the merchandise of the purchase of slaves in the interior country. It makes part of. So the present custom and ancient tradition of the country, handed down from father to son and from generation to generation, both teach us to believe that the practice of making, buying, and selling slaves was in use in Africa long before our knowledge of it. Death or slavery were and still are the punishment of almost every offense. Check this out. And every prisoner taken in battle was either put to death or kept as a slave. This was going for black and white. The fate of prisoners was also a great measure determined by the season of the year and the occasion they had for the service. If they were taken after the harvest was over, they were seldom spared. But those who were captured before the commencement of the rice season experienced a different fate, as they were reserved to cultivate the rice ground and sold after the harvest to those tribes bordering on the sea, who had no other means of acquiring slaves than by purchase. Or you see this? The only way that the Europeans bought the people from these islands were by these people on these islands going in there and buying them themselves. This was an ancient custom of the country, and the modern practice is nearly familiar, as seldom disposed of in the new slaves to the rices on the ground or until it is cut. Hence, though the Europeans, by the eagerness with their push, this trade may be censorable so far. So he's talking about abolishing, okay? Let's get into this here real quick. Oh, sorry. We mentioned here, during the late war in which England was engaged with France, when the ships did not visit the coast as usual, there were no goods to purchase the slaves which were brought down. The black merchants suffered many of them to perish for want of food. Pay attention. And said they should not come down again till the ships arrived. When questioned what the inland people would do with their slaves, right? The inland people, they replied, cut their throats, as they used to do before white men came to their country. And I am informed, however, shocking to relate that this was during the period the case with great numbers. To the above account that it may be necessary to add a short description of the present state of slavery in Africa. So now here, Wobbles, make this make sense. Culomeo, where you at? It mentions Mandingos in Africa. Mandingos in Africa and Mandingos in America? How's it so if you're not African? But here in this book, you clearly see a history of Sierra Leone. My main point was smallpox and the travelings of it. And how did it get here? How did we get it? If it was all the way inland? Well, because they had to bring their own people to the coast to be sold and brought here. And again, David, it's an endemic disease. An endemic disease, meaning that it's restricted, particularly to a locality. Check it out. I wanted to show this to you, okay? So this is from a book that I have, and I honestly cannot remember the name of it right now, but I will definitely find it, and I'll see if I can post it later today. It says here on page, shoot, which one is it? I'll find it. Okay, so it says here on page, oh, my bad. Here, I'll start here. We'll go here. It says free blacks became slave owners early in our history. You hear this? Free blacks became slave owners early in our history. I've never lied to my gente. That's why I push back on that dude saying, the white guy with woolly hair, that supposedly I am teaching this to y'all because I want to create division. Because supposedly they are our people. You can't claim to be our gente if you're saying that we shouldn't be looking this way with your scriptures and assumptions is that we are corrupt and you're not. That's not equal. That's you looking down on us. Free blacks became slave owners early in our history. Indeed, one of the major known legal sanctions of slavery, other than a punishment for crime, involved a black owner. In 1654, Anthony Johnson and his wife Mary in court, they were the first ones that sued to not only keep a slave, but to keep him in perpetual servitude. Do you see this? The first court case in North America was between a black slave owner and a slave or a quote unquote black servant. We don't know if he was like African, because we know that black at that time could mean just dark. Could be a native. It could be even a European. They were Swarthy too, right? Gained service of their black servant. But here's the funny part. He won the case, and through this case is where perpetual servitude basically began. All right, so now, not only did you bring smallpox, you also own slaves, and you were the first people to take someone to court to then force perpetual slavery. Because prior to this, it was only indentured servitude. Obviously, you don't know this about your own self, do you? Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Slave owning by free Negroes was so common in the period of Commonwealth as to pass unnoticed and without criticism by those who consciously recorded events of the time. How coincidental, huh? Like the antebellum period when shit was good for you. John H. Russell and The Free Negroes in Virginia, 1619, 1865, wrote, the most remarkable property right possessed by the free Negroes was the right to acquire, own, and alienate slaves, meaning treat them like shit. No different than what you were doing in Africa. Indeed, for more than 20 years from time when free Negroes first appeared in the courts, there was no legal restriction upon their rights to own indentured white servants. Oof. So this whole reparation bullshit, you know what I mean? That's why I push back. Y'all full of shit. You own slaves. You fought with the Confederacy to keep them. You fought to become or to keep continuing to be a Negro slaver. Interesting how this history isn't written, really, unless you actually look it up and read it. There were black slave owners in Boston as early as 1727, in Connecticut by 1783, in Alabama, 1797. Among the earliest records in the deeds books, quote unquote, of St. Augustine, Florida, in a document recording the sale of a black slave to a free black by a free black. What the fuck? So, two black folks, Africans, sold another black folk to each other. All right? It gets even more interesting. By 1790, 48 Maryland black owners possessed 143 slaves. Nate Butler, a free black who lived near Aberdeen in Hartford County, owned a small farm and regularly purchased and sold Negroes for the Southern trade. Now watch, some considered black slave owners hard taskmasters and claimed free black owners were as a usual thing, much more severe on their slaves than the white ones. Remember that movie? Django? Remember Django, right? He shows up to the slaver's house, and the slave owner, who Leonardo DiCaprio played, Samuel Jackson was his so-called servant who had served his dad. And you saw how they talked to each other? You saw how they looked down? I'm telling you, family, whatever's been told to you, it's being peeled back now. Like I've said it before, fam, I am sick and tired of fucking believing people that don't know shit. So I'm going to destroy all their bullshit until you can prove me otherwise. If not, shut the hell up, sit down and learn. Or region. So before you go and say dumb shit like this and stop projecting, because you are the stupid ass in this moment here. Obviously, Africans did bring the contagion, meaning that it's because it's endemic. And no Spaniard gave them the smallpox. They did bring the French pox, which we suffered from it too. By them and you. And they didn't bring or exclusively. Now, again, this isn't hate speech because I am reading a book, which is a book that you can find and usually available to purchase. Now, it's up to you to feel emotional about it, but these are facts. And I know some people don't like me bringing out some shit like this, but these are facts. And if it burns your spirit, oh well. Because you want to know something? We've dealt with this shit for a long time. And for a long time, we were told something that was not true. We were told, oh, no, it was certain people. It was certain people. Propaganda. Certain people did it. Certain people did it. You know what I mean? This is a book from Cartas y Memorias. It's in Spanish, between 1511 and 1539. Let's tackle this real quick. I'm going to go in English and Spanish, and I'm going to start bringing up the actual, the endemic spreader. Okay. Here we see, and this is page 14. Let me go magnify it. Let's go tackle it real quick. It says here. Yeah, que aguanten la vara, bro. Straight up. Que aguanten la vara, bro. They want to bring, hey, listen. If you wobbles didn't mess with us, man, you probably would not have heard of me at all. I more likely guarantee you. But when you went and said that you are us, that set me off. Anyways, let's read. It says here, los gobernadores Jerónimos y el licenciado Suazo alcanzaron a congregar algunas comunidades indias, pero lejos de ayudar a evitar el despoblamiento de nativos, la formación de pueblos ayudó en 1518 a propagar por las islas una de las más terribles epidemias de viruela y otras enfermedades del viejo mundo. Basically, in a nutshell, that these men here were talking about the horrible epidemics. All right? Esta epidemia tal vez llegó a Yucatán. So it's saying maybe it arrived in Yucatán first. Con la expedición de Juan de Grijalva en 1518. Y es la misma que trajo a México el famoso esclavo negro.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
La expedición de Pampilo de Narváez en 1520. Remember, Narváez was the one that fed our hen to the dogs. And he had with him, matter of fact, not him, Garrido brought with him 600 African slaves. Let's continue. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find just this word, viruela. If not, we're going to move on. Viruela. How do you spell it? Shit, I forgot. Valiosos, negro, clavo. Espérame. What the hell are you? Give me a second. Shit, man. Just lost myself. El mismo México famoso, melodías. Sí, pero ayudar a escoger un nativo, la información que le por ahora es a través de tribus. Viruela, güey. Viruela. Ponte las pilas. Anyways, just one. All right, cool. Sounds good. Let's move on. Again, this is from a book. I've shared it with you. I'm just going to tackle this real quick. It's from a book here. Check this out. Smallpox shows up 4 times in this book, and this is from, let me remind you, Hernan Cortez, okay? Conquest of Mexico. Hernan Cortez, Conquest of Mexico. The history of the conquest of Mexico and the history of Peru. Let me do the line real quick. Okay, fine. You don't find it that way. Matter of fact, let me do it this way. I have it on my book. or I'm going to have to change it. Hold on a second. Ay, pinche diablo, güey. It always does this shit. You know that? It always does it. Honestly. This is funny. It always does it at this time. Let me get it real quick. Which one is it? History of Conquest? Give me a second. Click your Conquest. 001. There it goes right here. Okay. So this is History of Conquest. Let me go to the main pages. Okay. So we're going to go to page 399 first. Damn, there's a lot of pages. Page 399. They all talked about who brought it. Okay. It's not a secret. It says here the visit is on page 399 from the same book. This is when they showed up. The visit of Narvaez left melancholy traces among the natives that made it long remembered. A Negro, which now we know that it came from the inter parts of Africa, in his suit brought with him smallpox. Okay? The disease spread rapidly in that quarter of the country, and great numbers of Indians, an Indian population, soon fell victims to it. I've never heard of black people dying of smallpox here. Herrera, History General, blah, blah, blah. Se perdió la mejor y el más noble ciudades de todo el nuevamente descubiertos del mundo. Y ella perdida se perdió toda la que estaba ganando. Oh, no, this doesn't matter. So here we see one example. Let's go to the next one. 482. What? 482. Okay, sounds good. I'll go to 482. There you go. Perfect. Page 482. Oh, here it goes. On page 482, it says, it was with no little regret that the general learned at this time that the death of his good friend MESHIACHA, the old lord of Tlaxcala, who had stood by him too steadily in the hour of adversity. He had fallen a victim to the terrible epidemic, the smallpox. And we read from the book Sierra Leone that's where it came from. That's no lie. Europeans didn't bring smallpox. Europeans brought French pox, syphilis. Africans brought smallpox. Whether you like it or not, those are the facts, and that's history. Whether you like it or not, you cannot erase history. This is history. If you're going against a white man saying like, oh no, they want to get rid of like the 1619 supposedly history, black history. So why is this supposed to be hate speech, David? You're always telling the white man not to be telling you what you shouldn't teach. How come this is hate speech? It was imported into the country, it is said, by a Negro slave in the fleet of Narvaez. Confirms it again. You call this hate speech. Why is it all of a sudden hate speech? It wasn't hate speech when you were saying that the Wedos brought it. It wasn't hate speech when you were saying that they're Neanderthals. That wasn't hate speech. No. It isn't hate speech when you call us Mongols. That's not hate speech. Right, David? That's not hate speech, is it? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of wondering, like, what is hate speech and what is not hate speech? To what level? What is acceptable? It's okay for you to misquote who I am and not call that racist because you assume I look a certain way? Isn't that racist? Facts are racist, right? Now, man, in my channel, facts tell, stories sell. I don't sell stories. I don't go around asking people for feria, even though I should and I probably could. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows? But the point being is, I don't do that shit, man. Where you at? Where you at? Give me a second, family. Too many. Wait, it's not the same book? Okay, hold on. Maybe I'll upload it this way. Give me a second. Okay. Is this not it? Let me see. Hold on. Oh, okay. I think it's not it. My bad. This is the other one. Give me a second. Geo history? Where the hell are you, dude? Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. I still find this so funny, man. Like when I'm doing this is when it gives me the most problems. Right when I'm doing this shit. It's so striking to me. You know, my phone starts acting fucking funny, man. This is nuts. Give me a second, fam. All right, let me see if I can get this. Give me a second. Let me see if I can download it real quick, because I'm not going to let this shit get in the way. Give me a second. Can you see if this is it? Damn, it's fucking hot in here. I have to talk to this dude or else, bro. Can't do this shit. Hold on. I think this is the one. 58. Give me a second. If this is it, I'm going to go real quick with it. 1800. SQL. 56. Yep, that's it. Page 207. Okay. Or 206. All right, here we go. It's 206. All right. Same book. I mean, not same book, different book. Let's read this part. Because again, you wanted to know. You wanted to know who brought it. David, you asked me the question, or you don't even ask, you just make a statement. And you assume, because it hurts your feelings. But calling me a Mongol, a conquistador, that's not racist. Even though I'm not any of those people. And even though the word Mongol itself is a racist fucking term. But that doesn't bother to you, right? That doesn't matter to you guys. Narvaez brought with him a Negro who was in the smallpox. An unfortunate importation for that country. For the disease spread with inconceivable rapidity, and the Indians died by thousands for not knowing the nature of it. Hold on a second. I'm in the wrong site. My bad. I'm over here reading it to y'all. Let me read it again. All right. So here, let me see if you guys can see it. First of all, make sure. Yeah. All right. You guys can see it, right? Still okay. Good. So here we see Narvaez brought with him a Negro who was in the smallpox, an unfortunate importation to that country, for the disease spread with inconceivable rapidity. And the Indians, who also suffered of French pox, but was brought by both the Europeans and the Africans, right? But died by thousands for not knowing the nature of it. They brought it to the fatal issue by throwing themselves into cold water in the heat of the disorder. Thus, black was the arrival of Narvaez.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Is that racist, David? And blacker still the death of such multitudes of unfortunate souls.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Is that racist, David? Which were sent into the other world without having an opportunity of being admitted to the bosom of our holy church. How insulting. How insulting. Page 236, let's just go to it real quick. I think it's just mentioning it. It's not a big deal. It's in the bottom. At this period, another prince of royal blood was elected to the throne of Mexico. For the former, who had expelled us from the city, was dead of smallpox. Again, smallpox. Now let's go to some books I have here. This is from, let's see. Where you at? This is from, hold on a second. 41. Yeah, this is from the 7 myths of the Spanish conquest. It's when he's talking about the Africans helping conquer. Okay? It's a good book. 140, page 140. It says on the bottom, for the 10 millennia, the Americas had been isolated from the rest of the world. The greater number of the people in the old world and the greater variety of domesticated animals from which such disease as smallpox, measles, and flu originated. You see this? The old world. It didn't say Europe. It said the old world. Europe, East, and also Africa. It says meant that Europeans and Africans arrived in the old world with a deadly array of germs. Oh my God. These germs still killed old world peoples, but they had developed rapidly high levels of immunity compared to Native Americans, who died rapidly in a staggering high number. Right? Page 41, 141. After half of Columbus' first voyage, the Native American population fell as much as 90%. It says here that smallpox seemed to be the culprit. Spanish and their Nahua allies moved through, blah, blah, blah. You guys can read it if you want. Disease moved through Americas faster than germ-carrying European and Africans could.
Bruh.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
It was brought to Mexico by Narvaez's expedition in 1519, spread by the Spaniards in African, led by Cortez. In Alvarado through central and southern Mexico, and in Guatemala, traveling rapidly through Central America and in the early 1520s, before fanning out across South America. This smallpox was pandemic, which is different than endemic. Endemic is local, meaning Africans actually had it, brought it, and they're the ones that took it, right? They're the ones that took it. Then it says here, these and successive waves of disease penetrated, up in North America, decimating the densely populated lower Mississippi and southwest in the Amazonia. Now, we know here in our land, if you believe in the Bible, that we were going to be attacked by smallpox, by foreigners of another nation that we never heard of, never known of, we never even spoke their language. It also said that we would diminish in Deuteronomy 28. But in Isaiah, it also says that even that we're going to diminish to the 10th part, to the 10%. Isaiah, I believe, 6. Look it up. If you believe in the Bible, you're technically in there. But apparently you guys don't. So, let's continue. Let me see if I got more. War dogs. Here goes another page here, same book. Another first attributed to the Africans in Mexico was the bringing of smallpox to the mainland. Francisco de Eguía, one of the black slaves of Narvaez's expedition in 1520, allegedly died of disease soon after landing in Mexico and the Mexican coast. Now, that was just one person. Unlike later expeditions, Africans did not participate in the conquest of Mexico in the hundreds, for as Bernal Diaz observed, at that time, blacks and horses were worth their weight in gold. Blacks and horses cost about the same. We were on the totem pole. And you're going to find out because we bring proof. And by the way, you know how they say that supposedly we're Spaniards and like we look this way because we mix with Spaniards? Okay. The Dominican chronicler Diego Duran, for example, mentions various servants and blacks, while the native account compiled by Sagahun, known to us as Florentine Codex, simply notes that the Spaniards came some blacks who had crisply curled dark hair. All African slaves and servants, hold on, as the first major conquest of the mainland, the conquest of Mexico had helped inspire and finance a flurry of Spanish expeditions through the Americas. All included African slaves and servants, many of whom, like Juan Garrido and Juan Valiente, became and continued to fight as conquistadors. As conquistadors. These expeditions can be placed in two groups. One part of the chain or relay system of the conquest that raided out from central Mexico to other parts of chains that conquered and ran into South America. So, who was involved in the conquering of the natives? White and black people. Who brought smallpox? Africans did. Who brought French pox, syphilis? European whites did, okay? And the Swati ones as well, because they were all doing the same shit. You're going to find out as you get further into it. So that's not hate talk. These are facts. We have them in English and in Spanish. Shut your ass up. These are facts. Oh, since we're on this topic here, might as well. You see this here? Bobo's, y'all was stupid. Y'all dumb. Seriously. Since I'm in the page, might as well. You see, he paints his face black, right? Check this out. Color of victory, body paint. After a revenge raid, the victorious warriors would stop and paint themselves in an informative manner before entering their tribal camp for the customary and tumultuous victory celebration. The warriors depicted here in Sioux, who had adorned himself with several significant marks. His face was covered with grease and charcoal, the black indicating that the fire of revenge in his heart had burned out, and he wishes now to purge the event from his soul. It's the same book that I showed you. Here we see one, MESHIACHA. It was imported in the country by the said Negro slave in the fleet of Narvaez. It first broke out in Zampuela. The poor natives, ignorant of the best mode of treatment, the loathsome disorder, sought relief in their usual practice of bathing in cold water. We read that earlier. It didn't work. It does not seem to have been fatal to the Spaniards, many of whom were Swati, black too, and were sleeping with black women as well, importing them, enslaving them. Most of these guys were Sephardics, by the way, Sephardic Jews. Most of the Spaniards coming here were converts or Christians, but a lot of them were Sephardic Jews, fake Catholics, many of whom probably had already had the disorder. We know because remember the other book we read that Spaniards brought French pox to Africa? Well, since they were there, I'm sure they dealt with smallpox, and who were, at all events, acquainted with the proper method of treating. La primera fue de viruela y comenzó de esta manera, siendo capitán y gobernador Hernán Cortés al tiempo de que el capitán Pánfilo de Narváez desembarcó en esta tierra en uno de sus navios, meaning ships, vino un negro herido de viruelas, la cual enfermedad nunca en esta tierra se había visto. Y esta sazón estaba esta Nueva España en extremo muy lleno de gente. This is just MESHIACHA, like how he died. Don't need to read that. Just says the same shit. Same thing. The visit of Narvaez left melancholy traces among the natives. The Negro in his suit brought with him smallpox. That's for later, maybe. Let me see if I can touch on this real quick. Let's continue.
Hi, welcome.
So I want to show you a little quick video so you can see what he's talking about. Just real quick, no big deal. Check it.
Welcome to Terrifying World. We're going to talk today.
Okay, so check it out. I wanted to show you guys that video because of this. Let's remind ourselves what the whole point was, right? So now I've gone thoroughly, and I even left some pages out, which I'm going to show you. But this is what this guy said here. Now they claim that they don't know anything about this channel. You know what I mean? That it's irrelevant because there's no followers here. Okay. This is what they say. But
I will share something with y'all right now that I don't know why I didn't include it in that particular page, because I should have. But I have a book that is very clear, and it's called The Columbian Exchange. Okay? Check this out. The Columbian Exchange. Okay? Let me see if I can get this book here on archive.org. I'll go to page 4. You guys don't have it? Oh, wow. These are demons, bro. Can't believe that. Let me see if I can find it real quick another way. Okay. I'll make it quick. If not, I'll just show you these pages. Matter of fact, hold on. Columbian Exchange. I'm going to send this forward up. Let me see if I can just do that here. Here it goes, right here. Got it. All right. Because we bring facts, not fiction. You understand what I'm saying? So this is from a book called The Columbian Exchange on page 48. All right. Once more. Now this should really at least bother you a bit and maybe wake you up just somewhat. It says, with the men of Narvaez, which we read often, right? With the men of Narvaez had come a black man suffering from smallpox, and he infected the household in Sempoala where he was quartered, and it spread from one Indian to another. And they, meaning our people, being so numerous and eating and sleeping together, like we always do as a community, because we're people of community, unity, right? Quickly infected the whole country. Watch this, family. This is why you see a lot of pushback, especially from the Mexicas. The Mexicans had never seen smallpox before and did not have the European meager knowledge of how to deal with it. Unlike they, who didn't always die from it as long as they attended to it. We were so new to that, we didn't have any immunity towards it. As soon as they struck us, it was like COVID for a lot of people. The old soldier chronicler, Bernal Diaz del Castillo, called the negro a very black dose for Mexico. For it was because of him that the whole country was stricken with a great many deaths. I'm not implying here. This isn't implications. Let's continue. I got one more book and then we're done.
They gave Native Americans linen blankets disguised as a gift. But really, those blankets were a weapon of mass genocide. Those blankets were infected with smallpox. Almost 50% of the Native American population died between the 15th and 18th century. This was intentional biological and disease warfare against the Native Americans. We're talking millions. And then they turned around and blamed the disease on black slaves in an attempt to keep natives away from black slaves, trying to deceptively persuade Native Americans to stay away from black people.
Now they're answering to me, family, because there's no other channel that has brought this out but this channel. No other channel brought this out. So they're talking about me. They just don't want to give me the clout. You get what I'm saying? And it's okay. I don't need it. It just comes to show how fearful these people are. Because you can't debunk the stuff that I say. And we could be in Deuteronomy 28 all day and I will still debunk your shit. Now there's no division here. If I'm trying to divide my people, then you're right. You got a point. But we're not the same people. Do you understand how that is? We are not the same people. You did not go through the same shit that we went through. At all. Last time I checked, you guys had slaves since 1492. Last time I checked, like we confirmed, you fought with the Confederacy to keep them as well.
Brother, because they knew if we got together, it would be a problem for them. I know what you're gonna say. It was in the past. Let bygones be bygones. Well, my people suffer today as a result of what you did, and you benefit from what your grandparents did in the past.
Obviously, you know, he probably is calling me a Spaniard. Right. So check it. We'll finish it with this, okay? I got one more book and that's it. The Maya Conquistador, okay? I want you to be mindful of this. Now, I would love to use images like this, except this one, where it clearly shows that they ain't like black, you know, like or African looking. But that's not the point of this book. On page 160, hold on, is this 160? Yeah, let's start at 160, okay? At page 160, our people are talking about, like they're dealing and sending letters to the kings of Spain, okay? And in this section, it says that because it is truly necessary that they come into our district, for it happens that since the arrival of the bishop whom you sent, named Francisco Toral, he brought and distributed black padres. They are falsely named clergymen. Black padres. So this bishop brought with him black padres. Now, let me remind you, family, that in as early as, I think 400 AD, they had a black pope. Okay? So be mindful of that. Religion, Christianity isn't new to white or black folks. Now, these black folks that are here trying to claim that Christianity is new to them now. No. On contraire, mon frère, you brought that with you. Page 61. It says, they do not love us, nor are we in their hearts. Furthermore, we are not accustomed to being among them. We have spoken to them only a few times to see this or say that. Neither do they know our language here, nor do we know their Castilian language. These were considered Latinos. Christian padres, negros, teaching us religion. Ave Maria, Padre Nuestro, el Diez Mandamientos, and el Credo, Rosario. That's all you could read. That's all you could learn. Because anything else, it would kill you. Nor do they really devote themselves to us, although we need them. Thus, we engage with them in vain. So now we are inquiring in understanding the ways of the black padres. It says, but these oppressive clergymen get really angry at us while forcing us to work in their homes, doing whatever they tell us to do. For those black men have their own homes and servants and their own horses and rabbits. Furthermore, as they have settled in our kahab, we are providing them with food and household goods. They have neither paid a thing, nor do we ask them to. For they are ashamed of us and afraid of us too, although they are the Ka guardians and are given the responsibility and are asked to go to each Ka, meaning each like town. And as they are not paid by the bishops, the Kas, the burden of it is given to us. But there's no salary. So now we give them much food and they do not pay us. Does that sound familiar? Does not this sound familiar? We pay them now well and fully to be guardians of many kahabs. Meanwhile, may you reimburse us, you great reigning ruler, which whatever the bishop there is here in the province of Yucatan. It says basically this. This is the very reason why there's a discord with the bishop that is here in the province and the discord with all the black padres.
Who are you?
See that? They really ask us and task us for a great deal of money. They drive us mad over money. Therefore, these words we say to you, they're not lies, for this is really the truth. We will now prove it, for there were many black padres, 21 that came with the Spaniards, and not one of them knew our language here. Only one of them did, but the padre who entered did not teach, for at the time there were no elders, really just boys. They traded in other kahabs. Moreover, they wished to say little. The black padres, those black ones, they hated us. I think it's pretty much clear that, we care more about facts than feelings. Let me go back to say at least, hold on, let me kind of go back, because I started sharing you guys the videos and I didn't know who was watching. What up, good to have you here, bro. Who's this? I don't know you. I don't know who you're talking to. Lintero, what up? Sir, give that. Yo, since the other night it's proved that's why they're trying to silence you. Yeah, it'll probably be the algorithm, man, more than likely. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Sabetic. Wanakuya. I think I said what's up to you, bro. No, my bad. FBA claims to be the original people of the earth, the first smallpox. So it's facts. The first disease. Laughing and shit. Good one. The first conquistadors. Wanakuya says FBA and BHI groups both claim life started in Africa, nowhere else. Sir's like slapping your face, like, do you really? I'll be real. Pay the TikTok video again. Yeah, I did. I'm glad. Let's see. Just as the two black people can produce one Caucasian Edomite. Yeah, that's kind of weird, bro. Let's see. Share, like, subscribe. Yeah, let's go, Raza. Let's do that shit. The first to ever breathe. The first I can't figure out who I am. Two sub-Saharan Africans can't produce a white boy. It's just albinism. It's skin conditioned by birth. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of they even kill their own. The albinos, they chase them. That's wild. They started it all, but small hats own. Yeah, they started it all, but small hats own everything. That's true. The first everything. The first Mayflower. The first thief. Let's see. We all have one enemy in common, and that's the elite, bangers and hats. Yeah, that's for sure. The first suspects. Just tap it in, man. That's good, brother. Good to have you here. Let's see what else. First wobbles. Americans on their albinos. Yeah, that's true. Went from Rome. Let me see anybody else that I might have missed. Let's see. Let me see. Nah, man, that's pretty much it. Appreciate you guys' comments, bro. Let's keep it up. I would like if you guys can share the live to people, bro. And check out your text. Let me see. Hold on a second. That's funny. I don't know who that dude is, bro. And it's just funny to me that he even has the nerve of just making statements like that without actually bringing facts. You know what I mean? Like, at least bring facts. If I'm wrong, then share it. Sure, but you can't, because I'm not wrong. And I usually don't bring out stuff unless I know for a fact that, yeah, that is true. Hey, calmado. Well, I don't know what to say. But anyways, that's all I got for today. I just wanted to make sure to share that with y'all, fam. Please, if you can, man, show up again. I will try to do a live probably Wednesday or Friday. I have a very good topic. Other than that, let me see if I didn't forget anything, huh? I'm going to save those videos for later. I want to save those videos for later, because that's a very good point to bring up. All right. Other than that, man, let me play this song and then we out, bro. Later. Take care, fam. See you soon.
Across the block, Kahed, Belagere, where I get my chala. Who reporting live from the universe? It's the First Nations MC. You could do the search. Who been through the worst? Surviving genocide, fighting for a better life. They try to set aside the true history and keep us mystical. They say they founded this country on biblical principles. It's so cynical, but I'm an analyst. It's murderous. They refer to us as merciless. Indian savages. Now that's written in the Declaration of Independence. That's no kidding. Hey, open up your heart and let love lead the way. Light your path with the words that I speak today. Let the lessons flow, arrive and bless your soul. Systematic racism alive, intentional. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow.
His daily life was filled with ceremony, and every act had some significance. The Indians believed in the spiritual, the mysterious.
Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la fleto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea. Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la fleto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea. Orgullo mexicano, directo de Jalisco, le eché huevos a la vida, lo mío no fueron los libros. Un par de guantes viejos que tenía cuando morrillo fueron la mejor escuela, nunca me di por vencido. Si me miran por andar espaciando en la 6x6, es porque andaba bateando de antes de los 16. Me fajé para hacer lo mío, nunca me perdí la fe. Me hice el más grande del mundo, ya en los 5 les tapé. Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la aprieto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea. Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la aprieto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea. Desde plebe fui aguerrido, no andaba buscando los problemas, pero siempre fui el que protegió a los míos. En el barrio yo he crecido, ahora en la muñeca un Richard Miller ruleteando por las calles de Jalisco. Terror para el oponente, yo soy su martes 3, en sus días de mala suerte. Eso me dice que soy siempre se achica el contrincante si me miran de frente. Orgullo de GDL, viva México, cabrón. Terror para el oponente, yo soy su martes 3, en sus días de mala suerte. Eso me dice que soy siempre se achica el contrincante si me miran de frente. Orgullo de GDL, viva México, cabrón. Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la aprieto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea. Mexicano soy, llevo en alta mi bandera que rifa donde quiera, la frente en alta donde voy. Me la aprieto con cualquiera, listo para dar pelea.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.